So here's my question for all of you. What does Sawtooth Waves and Queen Chrysalis have something in common? Well, stay tuned. So before I start opening this theory case, let me start from the beginning. In his video, Twilight's a Dictator by Sawtooth Waves, he proposed a elective monarchy to see the better necessities of Equestria and its people rather than an absolute monarch chosen by certain few people from that. Well, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, it's rather good idea. I mean, people would get to choose their own monarch and see the better fit of Equestria. What's the flaw? Well, here's the flaw. Sawtooth Waves go about it all wrong. Instead of an elective monarch, which would be rather the same than the absolute monarch that he also doesn't agree upon, it would be rather fair to use a constitutional monarchy with the possibility to elect a person of the people and see the co-ruling between the prime minister and the princess. Now that would be fair because you would have the prime minister having his staff alongside and helping with the princess as co-ruler sort out the many differences that Equestria needs for its people. So what you're saying, Professor, is that it would be the two princess system. Correct. That way the prime minister would be elected by the common pony and Twilight would choose her successor should she decides to step down as princess, and no one pony would have absolute power over the other. That way it would be fair. Okay, Professor, I see what you're getting into. I do see the fact that it would be benefit that princess and the prime minister would have co-rulency over Equestria. But don't you think that the fact that Sawtooth would be the Manchurian candidate would be a far-fetched idea? I mean, it is rather far-fetched theory now that I'm thinking about it. Well, not exactly, and let me tell you why. Now, before I begin, I'm going to have to explain of what is the Manchurian candidate. The Manchurian candidate, written by Richard Condon in 1959 and then later adapted to 1962 and later in 2004, describes a prominent son of a political U.S. family who is being brainwashed into being an assassin for a communist conspiracy. Now, taking that into context and not being that far-fetched, what if I told you that Queen Chrysalis, before being turned into stone, created an elite group of changelings for when the time came, would brainwash a changeling or another species to do the task to the post-Twilight and therefore liberate her and be as queen ruler of Equestria? Wow, Professor, I never thought of it about it that way. So what you're telling me is that Sawtooth may be that Manchurian candidate, and he may be brainwashed by an elite group of changelings that seeks to depose Twilight and seek the return of Queen Chrysalis from her statue being? No, I think he's a great guy, but do you see the flaw in what he said? The fact that Sawtooth said that an elective monarchy is the right way to go has its own flaws because whether or not you believe, there would be again the same problem with a tyrannical person or being that would in consequence destroy Equestria and its citizens. So therefore, having a constitutional monarchy, you would have the same benefit of being in balance with power. So because no one pony would have absolute power to rule it all. So in the case of Sawtooth being the Manchurian candidate for Queen Chrysalis, it is false. I don't think he is brainwashed by Queen Chrysalis. He is a good guy. But whether Queen Chrysalis did create an elite group of changelings sought to brainwash the changeling, and the post-Twilight does for her to rule, remains unsolved.